Good morning from Patriots Point here in Charleston, South Carolina. And we're here overlooking the Yorktown aircraft carrier. And Jeannie and myself and Jeannie's sister Liz are all going to get on that ferry. And we're going to go over to Fort Sumter today and take a look. And as always, we're going to take you along and hope you enjoy. Let's go catch up before she starts yelling at me. Already a lot of people here. Looks like a lot of Boy Scouts. Okay, there they are. Here's Jeannie. And for those who don't know, this is Jeannie's sister Liz, my sister-in-law. So what we know now is that this Yorktown aircraft carrier is a permanent fixture here as some tourist attraction. I'm not sure if we're going to have the time to get on it today and take a look around, but we'll certainly be floating by it on the ferry when we leave. Right now we're going to cut this and go look for something to eat. Time for a pro tip. If you get here early.
To the point where the last assignment
for passenger.
Like we do. We got here early. And off we go to Fort Sumter.
You picked the seat, Jeannie. Well, it's really John because he wants to go there.
Can we stand while we're on the boat?
I don't want to stand.
And the best vantage point for filming as we approach? On the front, thank you. How long is the ride to Fort Sumter?
Probably about 35 minutes.
All right.
John, where's the bow?
Right here.
That's what he recommends.
Okay.
Well,
You can sit. You guys sit right there. And I'll stay right here. Okay. Now we wait. So if you want to do a helicopter tour around here, that's available as well. And there it is, as we speak. I have no idea about the pricing. I'm gonna guess $250 for 30 minutes, something like that. I can find out. And here we go. You'll remember my helicopter video in Sedona that Jeannie treated me to. Little loop around the aircraft carrier, I'm sure. And we're off. Wish we could have brought you a nicer day, but we're not in charge of the weather. Submarine in between back there.
It's the Navy. It's the Navy aircraft carrier.
It's the Yorktown.
All right, bye. It is the Navy aircraft carrier. What the plane says on it is Navy. That guy's waving at you down there. Johnny's waving up there.
Okay. see if we can't get a little perspective on the sheer enormous size of this. And as you know, this is an older aircraft carrier. Our newer ones are way bigger. But this is really cool. We got some more waivers. All right. Probably a good idea to put my lanyard on now. And again, real quickly, they do have a little submarine right there. Not sure what class. This would be a good tour as well. I don't know if we have time or that's something the ladies are interested in doing, but I'm not sure if that's going to show up, but there seems to be a little fort right over there on that island. Let's see what happens there. Maybe we go around it, maybe we don't. We got Castle Pinckney over here, and the Ranger's going to be Ranger Kohler is going to tell us a little bit about it.
Yep. So that is Castle Pinckney. So right now, it is actually currently owned by a local group of the Sons of Confederate Veterans.
Right.
If you look at the flag on it, you'll see it's called the Bonnie Blue. It's a secessionist flag.
Right.
They usually fly different Confederate flags before they're flying the stainless banner, which is the second national Confederate flag. But it was used kind of briefly during the initial battle. Fort Sumter is all the way out there with the crane. You can see it from here.
Okay.
Castle Pinckney was taken after the Union Army moved, well, the Union garrison moved from Fort Moultrie in 1860. They moved to Fort Sumter. Right. And then the Confederates were not happy about that, or the Republic of South Carolina more so were not happy about that. So they took Castle Pinckney as retaliation. It didn't really do much during the Civil War. It's a pretty small fort and was kind of out of range of most of the fighting.
So basically they just looked at each other.
Yeah.
Stuck their tongue out.
But maybe the most notable thing about it is during the Battle of First Manassas, it was used as a prison for federal troops that were captured. Right. Then they realized it was too small, so they moved them elsewhere. The island it's on is called Chutes Folly Island, and it's really bad. There's not much there.
I'm glad to have sunlight. I mean,
thank you very much. Appreciate the commentary on it.
Yeah, no problem. 4:30 in the morning on April 12th. The first shot of the Civil War is fired from Fort Johnson. Now, if you look out of the right of the boat, Fort Johnson is over here on James Island. It's at the very tip of the island right in front of us. That big gray building, that is where Fort Johnson used to stand. It is now a building for the Department of Natural Resources, but I was able to actually go over there yesterday. The original powder magazine from that fort still stands, as well as some earthworks. So the first shot is fired from Fort Johnson there, and that is pretty much a signal shot. It is a mortar that explodes high above Fort Sumter, and that signals every other battery around to start firing. So Battery Wagner, Fort Johnson, Castle Pinckney, Fort Moultrie, as well as about 40 other batteries placed on islands around, and even a temporary battery out in the middle of the harbor here. They all fire upon Fort Sumter. 3,000 shots in 34 hours rained down onto Fort Sumter. But the Union, they hold strong. The only reason they stopped fighting is because one of their barracks has caught on fire, and the fire is spreading towards the powder magazine. Now the magazine is where all the powder for the fort is held. And if they pretty much neglect this fire, it could spread to the magazine and blow a giant hole in part of their fort. So Anderson has to pull his men away from the cannons and stop fighting and contain this fire and make it pretty much as safe as possible that they don't blow up the fort. Now, the Confederacy realizes that Fort Sumter has stopped firing for quite some time now. They send an envoy over, and they offer terms of evacuation to Anderson, and he realizes that during this time there have been no deaths. There have been some injuries, but nobody's died. And with this fire and the fact that we have limited supplies, we're going to run out soon, he decides that he's going to give his men the chance to live and to fight another day. So he accepts terms of evacuation on April 13th, 1861, and the next day, April 14th, 61, is actually when the first death of the Civil War occurs, and it's not even during combat. Part of the evacuation is Anderson negotiates a 100-gun salute to the American colors as they're being lowered. Gun 47 has a misfire, it explodes, kills the operator, one Private Daniel Howe, and he's widely considered to be the first death of the Civil War. And as I mentioned, it's not even during combat, it's a complete accident. So
just off the right of the fort, there's a little inlet, and then there's a beach right here that's accessible by boats. And it looks like a nice place to spend the day as well. Here they come. Are you ready to go explore this fort?
I am.
Okay. We're the last ones off. We just let everybody go. Again, like the ranger said on the way over, that red line up there on the flagpole, hope you can see it now, is the original height of the walls before it got destroyed.
in 1863, Battery Wagner, as I mentioned earlier, was taken by the Union Army. Now, if anybody has ever seen the movie Glory, that's what that movie depicts. It's about taking Battery Wagner over on Morris Island to be able to shell Sumter and try and get it back under control. So the Union eventually is able to take Battery Wagner, and they've got a 200-pound rifled Parrott gun there. They've got a battery of them. And it just so happens that with the way the fort's designed, Battery Wagner is facing the weakest wall of the fort. They're able to pretty much take down the wall entirely and shoot directly into the fort. Now, I don't know if you can see it from here, but when we get closer to the fort, you might notice a red line on halfway up the flagpole. That indicates how high the walls used to be at 50 feet. They're about a third of their original height from that Union shelling from Morris Island. Now, when we get into the fort, you'll walk in the gate, and if you turn left, you'll actually see 3 shells still stuck in the wall from that Union bombardment. So this fort has been through a lot, but what we can't forget is kind of the fort itself, you know? Stories are what bring history to life, and when you look in this fort, you might see that it's a cool ruin, that there are a lot of bricks there. But this fort used to be a lot bigger. I don't know how many bricks are in it now, but when it was built, it was, I've heard, between 3 and 7 million bricks. So there are millions of bricks that go into this thing. But what you can't forget is that all of these bricks were handmade by slaves in the Charleston area. They labored at it to build bricks for a fort to protect a city that didn't care about them. Because in 1829, when this thing was commissioned, it was still a slave state down here, and slaves are seen as complete property. So when we get to the fort and you look, I challenge you to think about the stories that you do know, about the ones that I just told you, about the things you know about history, but also don't forget about what you might not know and are curious to learn, because a fort and some old bricks are cool, but it's the stories that bring this thing to life. And you have to think about the big picture of what happened at this fort. This fort on April 12th, 1861 started a war that lasted 4 long years and took 600,000, maybe even 700,000 American lives. And a war that was initially started about slavery. Abolishing slavery didn't become an end goal until emancipation in 1863. A lot has started at this fort here. It has changed over the years, and a lot of history has happened here.
Okay, like I told you a couple of times before, here's the flag that you saw in the middle of the fort. And the red line right up there, that's where the original height of the fort was. So you can imagine back in the day how high these walls actually were. Leave it to Jeannie. She found where the 3 cannon shot shells were. Right there. Pretty cool. Jeannie's a detective. She knows exactly where everything is. And those are the 3 shots they were talking about. So there you have it, Fort Sumter, and this is the wrap up. And we enjoyed it. It was about, what, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
45-minute tour for $30 each. I got 28 because I got senior citizens discount. So all in all, I recommend it. It's a quick tour. You could do it in the morning and then be on your way and be back around 12:30 and do the next thing in Charleston. So 2 thumbs up for Fort Sumter.